From Countable, it's the Daily Dose, what your government is doing and what you can do about it. I'm Andrea Seabrook. There's a big discussion going on in America right now, and of course on Countable. It underpins a lot of other issues we're wrestling with as well. It's about how we know what to believe. It's about science and logic, and how we apply those to the big questions. What should we be doing? What should we do next? We're talking about this again now because President Trump is forming a new high-level committee to challenge the findings of the government's own scientists, and in fact scientists all over the world, who say that human activity is radically changing the Earth's climate. But again, the underlying question here applies to all kinds of issues bobbing around in our society. Issues like conspiracy theories, quote, fake news, or gotcha scenarios politicians use to make us fear and doubt the conclusions of science and logic. So here's a thought experiment I'd like us to entertain for a second. Ask yourself, or a friend, this question. When you get a headache, do you take an Advil or an aspirin, a Tylenol, whatever? When the doctor says, hey, your kid has a bad ear infection, and then prescribes antibiotics, do you give them to your kid? And when your mom or dad has a funny heartbeat or pain in the chest, do you take them to the hospital? If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are choosing to rely upon, at least in part, the advances of science. In these cases, medical science. Now, extrapolate that out to other decisions you make, about the cars you buy, about the paint you use in your home, about what you eat or what you give your children to eat. If you're thinking about these and making decisions about them, you're probably taking into account facts and advice that we have from advances in science. Now, of course, there is a lot we don't know and we're still figuring out. Science has had and still has blind spots, and the conclusions of, for example, Western medicine should be challenged. Intelligent people will disagree about things. But by and large, they will not argue that taking an Advil blocks inflammation and pain receptors in the body. They're not going to debate whether antibiotics kill infectious bacteria. And they're probably not going to set up a big, important committee to argue against taking someone with chest pain to have their heart checked by a doctor. What I'm trying to say here, if it's not obvious enough, is that some things are not up for debate. There are some things that are true, at least to the best of our knowledge thus far. One of those things is human-caused climate change and the potential catastrophic effects it could bring. Now, I don't mean to be all doom and gloom. Actually, when you think about it this way, it's kind of inspiring. My guess is that even the most ardent skeptic of climate change probably pops an Advil when they get a headache. So essentially, we have a kind of national consensus on these things. We just don't know it yet. Some are still trying to cherry pick from science. You know, happily accepting the advancements that make our lives better, longer, more comfortable, but also disregarding the conclusions that challenge us, that tell us we have hard work to do. Is it okay to pop an Advil but ignore the changing climate? Come join the conversation. I can't wait to hear what you think. It's Uncountable. Your reps are just a click or two away, and it's civic tech putting you in charge of your government. I'm Andrea Seabrook. Talk soon.